I've had an absolute nightmare I'll set you up here so you can see from there. I've had a nightmare getting to these bolts. And I'm just warming up the shed with that amazing heater. So I'll leave that running for about 10 minutes, and I've just bought this new kit. Because that's warmed up fantastic. So this is where this comes in handy. I can get right inside now. And well, I say I can get right inside. And I did ask for a 3/8, and that's a 1/2 inch, so I'm quite annoyed at that. You have to somehow get this on. It is an absolute, I'll take your hand so you can see. It is an absolute nightmare to get at. And as I say, it's really a case of, I really want to drop the forks and get at it that way. You just cannot. You just can't hardly get the bolt in to turn it round. That bracket is so far out there, it's untrue. I've actually got that feeling this isn't going to work, this isn't going to fit. And this here now it has to go in that bracket and then into there. It's really, really difficult to get at. People, it's really, really difficult. I'm not going to leave you switched on because this is a thing I can't just leave it switched on for you to watch. It'll just take forever to do it, so I'm going to knock you off here, and when they're fixed in, we'll come back to you. Right people, so we're just now putting on the front screen that I bought for it. So they've got rubber connections in between. They're a bit fidgety to get on, but once you get them on, it tightens up nicely. Now let me know your thoughts, because I think this screen's going to be much better than the one that comes from factory. I know the factory makes it look like a scrambler, but if you're going to commute and you're going to, you know, go up and down the motorways and you're going to do all sorts, I just think it's a more practical screen. And I'll put the link in for it. So they're an 8mm at the back and a 4mm hex. There we go, so that's the screen fitted. Could do with a good clean up. So tell us what you think of that. I think it quite suits a bike, to be honest. So that's going to reflect quite a bit of wind off me. We'll find out how that works when we're riding it. So the next thing, we've now fitted that. Let's just move forward a bit. And rather than doing half a dozen different videos, I'm just going to put it in as one. lift it and pull it back. It connects to. Let's bring you over so you can see a bit closer. Let's go on the side I'm going to look at it from, which is here. Now, I would say by the looks of them, just looking at them, they're going there. So that's where they're going. These 2 bolts, there's 4 bolts here, that's where that's fitting. Put you down there so you can see. The dark. Now I don't think I'm going to keep this on, to be honest. I don't particularly like it, people. Sorry to say, I don't actually like it much. And this is good because I can put the bits and pieces under there. So I may see how things go. I don't know what I'll do with these yet. And again, you're back to the stage. These are smaller bolts in there and harder to get to. Always the case, people. Nothing is simple. Right, so that won't come off with my hand. So we shall use the old trick when you get something like that on and you can't move it with your hand. Put a spanner on it. Just put a spanner on it. Spin it around. That's got tight on it. There we go. That's why it's so tight. Again. You can feel that that's actually got Loctite on it. So that's why that is not. Sometimes when they're like that, there's a couple of things you can do with them. Sounds a bit odd. First thing is, just give them a quick tap. These are extremely tight. The other thing you can do is actually tighten it, if you can, if there's space to tighten it. And this is always a case. You always get one, and you've got to really be careful because you do not want to round the head on this. I think this is silly that these are this tight. That is one of the hardest ones I've ever seen. Good learning curve, isn't it? It's just, like I say, if you're rich, if you're lucky enough to have been that person that won 177 million quid this week, you just take this into a garage. You'd be stupid not to. Right, so like I was saying, when you put these in, I very much doubt, looking at that, when they're lined up like so, that you may do. Well, I won't do there, that's tight. Right, so I'm going to knock you off until I get the bolts. Need to find the bolts and put them together. Right, there we go. I want to just line up now where the bolts go on here and where that goes. So I'm just going to use that to help me line it up. I don't want to put the bolts in yet. I'm just going to, if that'll fit. And I can possibly get at that. So there's a little knot. Now I could really do with, I've run out of Loctite, so I could really do with getting some Loctite really. always weighing it. Normally, all different sizes all the time. So I'm not tying it up, I'm just nipping it. Now, the bolts that come with it here, and I have got spring washers. So that's a spring washer if no one knows what it is. You can see how it's split. Can you see it? And that, the idea of it's a spring, so it helps it. And with a bit of luck, if that fits, let us just first of all get a, and that fits it, and let's just get them loosely in place. So you can see it's not that hard. It's not that hard to do. It's quite simple actions to do to do this. You know, anyone can do this at home. This is, like I was saying, this is going to be the hard bit now. There's always something that gets in your way, and it's like here now. You just can't get in, and this is the part I knew was going to happen. I wonder. Now this is the side. You start taking these off, and 99% of the time, they've got a washer behind it. Let's see if we can do the guard cover like that. How does that come off? Is it just seeing how that comes off there, as you can see on it. It looks as though it's just one bolt on it, but it's being held at the back, so let me just look down and look. Is it just being held on by? So you can see there, it feels like it's now, you'd think that they just make things easy, wouldn't you? But not at all. And these are sharp. There it goes back, people. There we go. So it just slides forward, goes towards the front of the bike. That's handy to know, and just show you that's what they are. So they've got two little clips there, and two little clips on there that they slide forward on there. Okay, so this is saving you a lot of grief, I can tell you. Now where did I put my my ratchet? Right, people, I used a bit of WD on the connections to actually get it on, and that made a difference to it. So we have now our second mission. That's nice on. There we have it. Oh, it's getting better now, isn't it? So now we've got a back rack on, so we can put a top box on there if we wish to. We've got a nice screen. And now onto the biggest part. Right people, fitting the crash guards. So we've got these crash guards. Now these look quite a pedantic thing to fit, to be honest. They do look, let's just take you down a bit. Come down to me, come down. There we go. So the way they work is that way. So they fasten to this bolt here. They fasten to here, and that goes around the frame there. But that guard is in the way. Now, like I was saying about that guard, I think that guard is an after guard. It's a genuine Honda after guard, and I've got a metal one. But to be honest, I think I'll keep this one. If I can get it back on. To fit them on. I'd say that's about 14 mil. That's a gap. Yeah, it is. I won't fall out there. Let's just undo that. So that's an engine mount, which, by the feels of that, has got a bolt behind it there, which it does. Always more fun when you're trying to fit stuff like this. So there it is. Let's just see the new ones that are replacing it. Are they much longer? Are they the same? I would personally, if that's going to fit, put the original one back on. Because the one thing you'll always tell by, this is one people never tell you. The threads on a bolt make a massive difference, and even though them threads look really the same, they are closer together, these. And I think that's a better steel from Honda. I may be wrong, you know, I could be wrong, but that's my thought process on it. Now, bend that round there like that, and put your bolt back through. And will it reach? Yeah, it fits through on the back. So you can put it back on. The fun bit to it is going to be tightening that up, because you're going to have to these, I would say, something just fell out there. Oh no, I don't know what that is. I would say they go into there to hold that in place. They're a bit, that's a bit, I don't know about that, people. Again, quite tight. So the same on the other side. Bottom bolt here. Again, they're Loctited, and they've got a bolt behind. Now this is great because this one's holding on the horn as well. That's all we really need. That's going to be even more fun. So this is always the best bits, isn't it? You always find something extra to spoil your day. Right. Just make sure there's no other washers or nothing in the way now. So the horn just hangs down there. Right, like I say, my concern now is that needs to go in there. We have on this side right. This is always what happens. You know, you get these and they go, it's dead easy to fit on, no grief at all. 15 minutes, right, I'll show you. So now we've got a pipe in the way, we've got a clip in the way here. So, where this goes, I need to line that up. I need to somehow get that in there without damaging it. Get the bolt in. I need this piece to go in the middle. And again now, the next side. Before you even tighten up these, you need to get this guard back on and make sure it fits, because this would not go round. This would not go round this. Really don't like this. This looks just cheap. You can see there. That looks absolutely naff, the way that connects there. That's meant to join it together. And as you can see, it's clear on one side and it's tight on the other. It doesn't clear that side. Why doesn't it clear that side? I just do not like that at all. Maybe that goes in a little bit. Yeah, so we may get away with it. So this is a grill I bought for it. And it is that way round. So if that goes in there. Yeah, I think I'm going to use that one, people. I like that better. Right, I'm going to get on and just tighten it up. I'm not going to leave you watch me tighten it up. You've got the gist now of where it connects. 6 bolts, 2, 1 on the bottom and the same on the other side, and then your radiator guard. You have to take the radiator guard before you go on. So I'm going to put them together. We'll come back to you once it's done. Well, I'm hoping I don't fall over on it, but if I do, I can tell you my thoughts on it, whether they're gonna last. So we'll just tighten up the other side now, and that's it done. That is let's just take you off there, a CL500 with all my bits on it now. Took me about an hour and a half to fit them on. As I say, not impressed with that join in the middle. I think that's really naff. I think they could have shaved that, and maybe even yourself, if you spent a bit of time, shave a bit off it there. But it's like here, it's literally on the radiator there and it's off it there, and you can't adjust it any further. That's the way it is. So you'd have to, I think you'd have to just bend the bars forward a bit to get that off there. Don't like that, really don't like that bit. The plastic radiator cover that I think comes with Honda, this one here, won't fit. Not unhappy with the one I've put on though, although to be honest, that on the top covers it better on the top there. There's no cover on it. So all in all, my thoughts on it, like I say, 5 out of 10. It's, I mean, the welds look good on it, everything about it looks good. It's just like non-OEM stuff, it just doesn't fit properly. I really don't like that bit on the edge there. So like I say, it's, let's see how we get on. Maybe when I tighten these in, it may lift it off there a little bit, but not enough for me. Right, so that is a CL500. Now, new screen on it. This was the original screen that I was going to put on. Tell me your thoughts, would you have put that on? I actually prefer that. I think that's I think that looks really nice against that that bike. And the bars do suit it. And the other side about it is, I wonder what they're like for when you're on the bike, because we haven't done that. So if we sit on the bike, pardon the French, let me just move that off there, because I really don't want to fall over with the bike and a camera in my hand. This is what everyone loves about my... Oh, and I've got somewhere to put my feet. Absolutely brilliant. It's so an easy rider. Yeah. The screen, I've got a feeling that screen is going to whack me right straight in the head, but it's got a bit of a curve on it there, so we'll see. And if it doesn't, I'll keep it on. The other thing I'm going to change is the mirrors on it. I think I'm going to put mirrors that are folding mirrors, because I may do a little bit of green lanes on this bike. And I was watching a YouTuber today riding the Scrambler, doing a review on the Triumph Scrambler, and it was really, with me, it was a choice of whether I was going to get the Triumph or this. And I've got to say, this is just a nicer ride. The Triumph Scrambler is a nicer looking bike, but this is a nicer ride. As I say, my last two things to do is a sump guard on it. Find a sump guard that I can put on there, because underneath there again, if we go underneath it, it's like the exhaust, it's low. The exhaust is lower than the sump. You know, you have got, if you go doing any sort of off-road on that and you hit any rocks, your exhaust has gone straight away. No ifs or buts on that. The other side about it as well, I haven't got paddock stands anymore, so to actually service it and put it on to lift it up, it's quite hard because of the exhaust and because of the way the exhaust and the sump go together there. Can you see? So you can't even put a scissor lift underneath. It's just a shame. There's certain things that they've done they could have made better, and you don't know this until you ride them. The other thing I think is going to happen is the heat off that exhaust is going to make that filter, as it gets older, quite hard to get off. So make sure you grease it, because there's going to be a lot of heat from that exhaust on that filter, which I just find an odd place for them to have put an oil filter right behind the exhaust. I think it's a bit daft, to say the least. But yeah, that is a side I don't love. So I think it is literally a paddock stand. There's no really other way that you can lift the bike up, because I've got a little scissor lift, and my little scissor lift there generally lifts up any bike, but there's just no way of holding it. So I'm going to have to get a paddock stand. The other thing is a paddock stand on this, I'll have to find out whether it's a certain type of stand, because most of them are square, aren't they? The frames, these are round. So whether there's little bungs that go on here to help it lift up, I'll have to find out. That's another thing. So these are the sort of things, as you go along with something like this and a bike like this, you find out the pitfalls, you find out, you know, the good bits, and you find out the bad bits. And, you know, there's a lot of good bits. But that now has given it a bit of weather protection. I've got some handguards which are, to be quite honest with you, chocolate fire guards. You're better off spending the £100 and putting bark busters on there, which I'll probably do. The downside with that, again, look, the ends, they're sealed. You have to cut them out. So I don't know what Honda was doing here when they done this. So inside here is a piece of plastic. You have to drill that out and then put your feeder in to actually put your bark busters on. So you know, they call it a scrambler, but why do that when you can't put things on as standard? You know, Honda needs to, you know, there's alright cheapskating stuff, but and we know it's not a proper scrambler. Do you know what I mean? We all know that straight off. But that's all I've got to say. I'm not happy with that grille cover either. I really don't want that to stay on there. There's too much of that open at the top there. Don't like that at all. I think it spoils it really, doesn't it? The silver bits coming off. And it's a shame, because Honda have done such a good job on a lot of this bike, to be honest. You know, it is a good build quality bike. Right, so that's it. I'm going to finish off, and the next time you see me with this, I'll be out riding it. Thanks, Birchwood Biker. Thanks for watching. Thanks for following my channel. Really do appreciate it. I hope these little videos, I know some of them were a bit long-winded, but if they help you out and you're doing it yourself, they're there to help, aren't they? So take care. See you on the next one.